Last season, Clemson squandered a truly elite defense with painful mediocrity on the offensive end. While their defense has taken a half step backwards, their offense has taken 4 full steps forward. This conversation starts and stops with quarterback DJ Uiagalelei. He looks like a completely new player this year, and the answer isn't exactly clear as to why. The nuts and bolts of the playbook haven't changed much, but for some reason every position group seems to be performing better. If I had to give a concrete reason, I would point to DJ's usage as a runner. Clemson uses him on designed runs a lot. Their go-to is quarterback counter, which uses pulling linemen and even the running back as lead blockers to spring open a running lane. DJ has a huge frame, and while he's certainly a capable runner, he doesn't run with as much authority as you would expect. However, just by having him as a threat and pairing him with one of the most consistent running backs in the country in Will Shipley, all of a sudden Clemson has a solid running game to fall back on. This all matches up pretty well against Florida State, who wants to keep 2 high safeties to protect their corners, but has struggled in past games against scrambling quarterbacks. Clemson's goal with this running game is to pull up the safeties and open up things for the passing game. The passing game itself isn't terribly complicated. It's extremely RPO heavy, coming in at the 3rd highest RPO rate in the country at a whopping 45% of their plays according to PFF. In general, they tend to opt for this RPO screenplay. The quarterback reads this overhang defender. If he stays outside to give a +1 to the screen, then DJ can give the ball to the running back. If he instead crashes down to the run game, then Clemson has numbers on the outside. But I'm not always convinced that DJ makes the right reads on these plays. If the defense starts cheating their safeties down to stop both, then Clemson uses DJ's strong arm and talented receivers, headlined by Joseph and Ngata, to take the top off the defense. And this isn't just some one-off, it's actually the core of their offense. They throw the 3rd most go routes in the country. This offense is much improved, but there's still some glimpses of the old DJ that shine through. If the defense can get some pressure and get him off base, he'll still make head-scratching throws sometimes. And while the offensive line is improved, there's still a lot of growth to be made. Clemson is pretty multiple on their defensive fronts. There's still a lot of remnants of the 3-3-5 that they based out of last season under Brent Venables, but they're also not afraid to line up with 4 down if the situation calls for it. One of the major reasons they can get away with this is their elite talent on the defensive line. Personally, KJ Henry looks like one of the best pure edge rushers in the country, but he's surrounded by so much other talent that he's still able to occasionally get one-on-one looks. Behind the front, Clemson plays pretty aggressively. They have the 6th highest blitz rate in the country. This means Clemson gives a lot of one-high looks and often puts their young corners on islands on the outside. They also play a fair amount of cover 6, which is basically cover 2 to one side of the field, meaning that there's one deep safety that takes half the field, and cover 4 to the other, where 2 deep defenders share the other half of the field. Playing cover 4 to the short side of the field allows the defense to keep one safety near the box for run support, but means the corners have to carry their man deep without much safety help. They generally align their cover 2 side to the wide side of the field. This means that the pocket throw between this deep safety and this short corner is the longest throw available on the field. All of this talent and pressure means that Clemson has one of the best run defenses in the country, coming in at 2nd in yards per rush. And this will be an interesting matchup to monitor. FSU is one of the better running teams in the country, coming in at 11th in yards per rush on the season. Plus, head coach Mike Norvell has stated a desire to establish the run, even when it's been made pretty clear that that's the last thing the defense is willing to give up. However, he does have some pretty crafty ways of opening up holes against odd fronts, such as this pin and pull play, that pulls any offensive lineman that doesn't have a defender to his backside so they can have extra men at the point of attack. But I still think FSU will have to find success in the air on Saturday if they have any hope of winning this game. While pressures and selling out to stop the run are positives for the defense, I personally think Clemson tends to give help to the part of the defense that needs it the least, the defensive line. Wake gave FSU the formula for putting up yards in the form of chunk plays, and FSU's been able to generate these explosive plays, mostly through the use of 6'7" Johnny Wilson. But against a defense of this caliber, this is a lot easier said than done. This Clemson team is the most talented team on what's already been a gauntlet of a schedule for FSU early in the season. While their defense isn't quite as good as it was last year, it's still a top unit in the country. Couple that with an offense that seems to have found a bit of a groove, and it's looking as if Clemson's hiccup of a season last year was an exception and not the rule. However, there is a small but appreciable chance that FSU can pull this game off. If you compare the yards per play on offense and defense of common opponents, FSU's offense has been over a yard per play better, and their defense has been half a yard better than Clemson on average, despite losing 2 of the 3 games. This tells me 2 things. FSU is probably a better team than their record indicates, and they seem to have trouble converting these advantages in the win-loss column. That's a trend that's going to have to end if they're going to pull off an upset over the current leader of the ACC. Thanks for watching. If you're a Clemson fan, make sure to let me know how I did in the comments below. If you're a Florida State fan, check out Knowles247 for more great FSU news and updates. Thanks.